Many of you World War II history buffs will be familiar with Adolf Hitler and his not-so-savory work with his nationalist, socialist German workers. Party aside from inflicting war on the entire planet, you may also be aware that they were heavily active in systematic looting of all the territories they came across during their rampage of Europe. In light of this, it should come as no surprise that they had stolen vast amounts of wealth from individual people, families, and entire nations as a whole. As such, you may find that they were involved in the theft of priceless artwork and cultural artifacts currency from the previously mentioned individuals, as well as the central banks of the countries they invaded, jewelry and precious metals, with gold being something of a favorite of Hitler and his men. As such, it should also come as no surprise that Hitler and his men were also involved in finding places where they can stash these vast amounts of stolen wealth. Some of the more popular stash houses or caches that have become the stuff of legend are caches such as the Nazi gold train, a legendary train that is believed to be filled with gold, and other valuable items believed to be hidden within a sealed tunnel in the Walbert region of Poland. Many have tried, but failed to unearth conclusive evidence that such a train actually exists. Operation Safe Haven was a campaign that was begun by the West Allies. If liquid assets were found in the form of paper money, coin, gold bullion, those assets could then be placed in a safe haven until returned to the rightful owner. Same goes for the Austrian Lake Toppitz, a lake claimed to be the hiding place of many Nazi documents, artifacts, and of course that precious gold that we've all been looking for. Add a series of Swiss banks to the mix in terms of elusive Nazi treasure, and you'd find that there are many such locations that have failed to produce the stashed away treasure that the Nazis stole from their many victims all those years ago. That said, the lack of conclusive proof didn't deter historians from doing all they can to find the truth. Just take a look at Timothy Naftali, a NYU professor who has become an expert on Nazi plunder. I wonder how you become a specialist in such a field today. I'm 2 hours outside of Frankfurt, headed to Marker's mine to see where the Nazis put the gold that they had plundered from Europe at the end of World War II. Well, today he's able to give us a sneak peek by giving us a precious chance to visit what might be one of the Nazis' favorite hiding spots for the goods that they had stolen from their victims. Such an expedition took our good doctor to Marker mine, a spot located a few hours outside the vibrant city of Frankfurt. Apparently, it is within such mines that the Nazis had hidden the gold and other valuables they had plundered following their siege of the continent of Europe. Such a notion stands in contrast to the seemingly down-toe town of Markers, as much of the population is still involved in mining in the working salt and potassium mines found in the area, just as they did back in the days of World War II. What is similar to said city and mine is that just like back then, the Nazis' secret treasure vault is still mostly inaccessible to much of the public today. You'd find that the so-called treasure room is still mostly inaccessible because those looking to venture into such a vault would have to take part in a 2,000 feet plunge into the mine's industrial lift. This is no easy feat because as you descend into this 2,000 feet abyss, all you experience is a sense of dread and claustrophobia. The deeper you go into it, as if that is not bad enough, it is just the beginning. Turns out that when you leave the entryway, there is this sense of feeling locked away that you just can't shake off. As horrible an experience as this may be, there is no denying that this may be the perfect hiding spot for anyone who is looking to keep their treasure from being discovered by the rest of the world. As such, as we descend into such a tunnel with Dar Neftali, we must remember that he is just seeing this place for the first time, just like us. As such, he does have a spot of good fortune as this. He has the benefit of a mining truck and a driver who is familiar with the environment. This is a big deal because back then it would have taken anyone who stumbled across such a place years to find their way around the place without even coming close to finding the gold. This is because the place is so large that you could take a map of the mine and put it above the city of Leipzig, one of the largest cities in Germany, just to show how expansive the mine is. Thankfully, Naphtali and his guide were able to make their way to this room that was simply labeled number 8. Apparently, this room is considered to be the location of one of the largest treasure hoards. Imagine what sort of treasure could have been buried in such a place, measured to be 75 feet wide, 150 feet long, with ceilings that are believed to be 12. The room labeled number 8 surely is massive. No wonder it had its own tram railway to help people navigate their way in and out of the room. Was absolutely staggering. They found sacks containing gold bullion, over 7,000 of them, piled up in neat piles inside the mine that measured 75 feet deep and 150 feet wide. It may sound far-fetched, but we figure that no expense was spared when it came to a space that is believed to have once contained a huge chunk of Nazi Germany's secret wealth. Walking through this massive vault, Naphtali could see why the Nazis would have picked this location. He just couldn't imagine how anyone would have come across this place, at least not without some help. In fact, when we look back, it makes us wonder how the Allied forces even came across this well-hidden spot. Located deep within the bowels of the earth, it would have taken them years to even learn the layout of the mines, let alone stumble across room number 8. Well, it turns out that the Allied forces only came across this place by accident. Following the end of World War II, the Allied forces stumbled across a pair of French women who had interesting information for them. When the two French women came across some American soldiers, they were happy to report what they had recently observed. Turns out that they happened to come across the scene where large stacks of money were being extracted from the mines. Who would blame the American soldiers for wanting to investigate such a lead? Before long, these Americans were hoping to make their way down the mine, but unfortunately they would find that this would be easier said than done, as the Nazis weren't going to give this secret location up without a fight. What followed was a fierce battle that was held between the Americans and the Nazis. Fortunately, the Americans would come out on top. This gave them the chance to go down the deep mine before finding the now infamous door of room number 8. As excited as the Americans were, they were cautious enough to fear that the door was booby-trapped. Not wanting to take any more chances with their lives, the men decided to blow the door up. After successfully blowing the door up, the men waited for the dust to settle. Only then did they realize what they had fought for during that fierce battle against the Nazis. To their shock and delight, the American soldiers saw that they were standing before more than 8,000 gold bars. Can you imagine that? As amazing as this discovery was, the Americans would find that this was just the beginning of the true mystery. Turns out that they realized that as much as this treasure was before them, there was a lot of it that was missing. The fact of the matter is the sums don't add up, and there still is some mystery as to what happened to all of that go. Even now in the present, Naphtali was still talking about the mysterious nature of the treasure with the vault. Apparently, it is believed that the Nazis had stolen almost $600 million worth of gold, at least according to the 1945 standards. As such, you can imagine how confused the Americans must have been when they realized that it seemed as though more than half of such a massive fortune was missing. In fact, upon carrying out some examination on what was left in the room, it is believed that only about $250 million of said treasure was in the room. As of the time the Americans discerned the vault, that means that at least $350 million worth of gold was gone forever. Where the rest of this treasure is, nobody knows. What we do know is this just adds to the mysterious nature of the treasures that were stolen from the victims of World War II by Hitler and his Nazi scourge. Want to see more gold? Subscribe now and join the hunt for lost treasures, hidden riches. and legendary gold discoveries.